first of all, every one of us, never mind what our position is, we have to surrender to life itself. Life offers, or withholds, opportunities that we have perhaps no control over. So we are bound to surrender. You have to start with self-control. That means you stop surrendering to impulses, particularly emotional impulses, to impatience, to bad temper, to a need to be in the center, the need to be heard, to be seen, to be appreciated. So that is part of it, because then you gain self-control. When you have self-control, you have gained awareness, because you have become aware of what you need to control. And when you don't control, then you know also the consequences, and you become aware how you create your own pains, your own agonies, your own problems, by not thinking things through, not surrendering to the facts, but rather denying the facts and surrendering to the whims of the emotions, or to uncultivated imagination. So when you have self-control, then there is very little authority that you have to fear. Most people that are afraid of authority and have a big problem, it's very quick for me to see, very easy to see, that they it's their own ego that is mercilessly demanding surrender, and that creates all the problems. You see?
So we're always surrendering to something, and the power of choice comes in what we surrender to.
Right. Power of choice is a very good word that you brought up. Yeah, that, because that demands awareness and discrimination. Yeah.
But in a complex situation, say in a group situation, where a group is supposed to be working together in some kind of harmony, how can you tell what is the right action and what is the correct surrender?
Now, when you're talking about a group like a monastery, an ashram, or even in a company, it's the same thing. When you can accept a company's principles of conduct, then there is not much to surrender, you know. So, but let's say in a place that is quite outside in what you brought up about spiritual life first, the idea is, why do you want to enter a group? Because two reasons could be the motivation for that. One motivation is, they will tell me everything that I have to do, and I do it, and then I will have God realization. And when they come to the group and they are told even a small thing, the rebellion comes. The ego will not surrender. You see? So there are many instances and circumstances that I can't even touch on yet. The other motivation is, I will go there because I don't know by myself how I can find out that I can turn my will into God's will by the proper step of surrender. The proper step of surrender can only come when I know how powerful my will is and how rebellious my will is. That means how ego-driven. And that's not necessarily apparent by even looking at a person, you know. But I have often suggested general discussions. And also the making weekly papers, even on the meaning of a word, because many words have different meanings to different people. So that creates already a lot of confusion. So if they sit together, talk together, then they can find a basis where they can harmonize without having to sacrifice their own beliefs or convictions. You have to know yourself well. So when you object, it will be good to have a diary and reflect every day and write the reflections down in a diary. Then you will find out where your self-will is most in opposition. And then find out if that is your opinion. You might be very opinionated. You have strong convictions. Or you want to have a leadership role that isn't yours at that time. Because it's like in the army, the soldier has first to learn to obey before he can become a general and command others. So then if you have this found out, then you will see what is from your own desire of asserting yourself, or what is truly wrong and should be corrected in a group, and you bring it up in a discussion. And the other thing is you can take that opportunity, provided it is not against your conscience. Take that opportunity where you're against this and say, I will go along with it because I need to practice surrender to the divine will. But you don't do that when you feel your conscience is at stake. I think any true teacher will never demand of any devotee, disciple, student, whatever, to go against their conscience. If that is the case because you're of different cultural backgrounds where there are different views, you have to discuss it with the teacher and say, well, this is not the way I grew up, or it's not the way in my country or family or whatever things are. Yeah. I had for many years a personal way, and it's always good to, even after you have done quite well with it, to test it out every now and then, even in later years. Let me take you as an example. Let's say I have great difficulties getting along with you. You're very obstinate. You're very stubborn, and so you would be my best challenge to find out if I can surrender to the divine will. And how do I do that? I would put you for a couple of weeks daily in the light, into my meditation, into my prayers, and tell the divine that you will be my testing ground for this purpose, and that I will do anything you say, provided it doesn't go against my conscience. Now, there are many times that in life I have done that. Never anything has been against my conscience. Now, even if you say, oh, this darn typewriter, you go and throw it in the lake. I may think, oh my God, this is $600 or whatever. I will throw it in the lake. Even though it's nonsensical, but the idea is not to let myself be stopped by particular material value. So that's the idea, And I will beforehand decide for how long I will do what you say. And then I will keep my own diary and find out how difficult it was, So, and if I was cooking inside, if I was almost ready to cry, or if I could slapped your face or whatever, whatever the impulses may have been. And they are an indicator of how I can accept the challenges that life, which is the flow of the divine energy, how well I can handle that. And then by that I can do, I learn also in this way to link everything to the divine, you see. So, and I create the distance between the divine and myself in the beginning is miles, uncounted miles, millions of miles. The distance becomes smaller and smaller. And there's more and more thought, what does the divine have in mind here? Like I say the typewriter, material values I shall not have stand in the way. But, I think when you are sincere, you find out what you're willing to do. You decide. I can say, you do this, you do that. I can only tell you, here is ways that I have done, and let them be an inspiration to find your own ways.